Have you ever been told you're too much? Too bold? Too different? Maybe someone laughed and said, "You really think you can pull that off?" Or they gave you that look, you know the one. Like you'd grown 2 heads just for daring to dream a little bigger than they thought was appropriate. It's kind of funny, isn't it? How the very things that make us unique, that make us alive, are often the first things the world tries to tone down. Like, hey, could you, just not? And yet, if you look back, those are exactly the things we remember people for. The spark. The edge. The refusal to fit neatly into someone else's little box. Johnny Depp knows that better than anyone. He once said something that, honestly, kind of stays with you after you hear it. He said, "If Hollywood execs weren't worried, I wasn't doing my job." Sit with that for a second. Because it's more than just a throwaway line. What he's really saying is, the moment you stop making people a little uncomfortable. The moment you stop making waves. That's the moment you stop really showing up as yourself. And he's right. Now picture this for a second. Imagine if Johnny Depp had played it safe. If he'd listened to the studios and done exactly what they told him to do. If he'd nodded politely and picked the roles everyone else thought were right for him. The charming romantic lead. The action star. The same character over and over again. Would we even remember him today? Or would he have become just another forgettable face in an industry already overflowing with them? That's what makes his story so fascinating. And maybe, just maybe, it's something all of us can take a little something from too. Because Johnny Depp has never, ever fit the Hollywood mold. While every other actor was chasing those clean-cut, polished, predictable leading man roles, you know, the ones studios love because they feel safe, he was out there chasing the misfits. The pirates. The outsiders. The weird ones. The beautifully broken characters that made you stop and actually feel something. And here's the thing. It wasn't because he couldn't play the traditional hero. He absolutely could have. He had the looks. The charm. The talent. But he didn't want to. Because safe. Safe doesn't make history. See, Hollywood loves its safe bets. Loves predictable stories. Predictable faces. Predictable actors who don't rock the boat. They're easier to sell. Easier to package. Easier to control. But Johnny? He's never been easy to control. And that's exactly why we still talk about him. Every time he stepped onto a set, he made a choice. A choice to go bigger. Stranger. Deeper. Darker. Even if it made the people in charge nervous. Even if it made his career path harder in the short term. Because for him, it was never about making executives feel comfortable. It was about making audiences feel alive. And that takes guts. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you did something that made the people around you stop and say, "Wait, are you sure about this?" Maybe it was when you decided to quit your job and chase a dream everyone else said was impossible. Or maybe it was when you spoke up in a room full of people who really, really didn't want to hear the truth you were about to tell them. Or maybe it was when you finally said no to something, or someone, you've been saying yes to for far too long. Whatever it was, you probably felt that tight little knot in your stomach. That whisper of fear. That heat in your cheeks as everyone stared at you, waiting for you to back down. But you didn't, did you? Because you knew. Deep down. That's when you're really alive. Johnny knew that too. And he leaned into it. Every weird, risky, bold role he took was his way of saying to the world, "This is who I am." Even when it freaked out the Hollywood big shots. And let me tell you something you might not know. Hollywood actually needs people like him. Because here's the truth, and it applies way beyond movies. If everyone plays it safe, if everyone colors inside the lines, what do you get? More of the same. Boring. Forgettable. You don't get magic. You don't get surprise. You don't get heart. You just get another paint-by-numbers story no one's going to remember 6 months from now. Johnny's choices remind us of something really important. That playing it safe might feel good in the moment, but it doesn't make history. Nobody remembers safe. And here's the part one want you to really hear. This isn't just about acting. This is about you. Whether you're starting a new chapter in your life, building a career, chasing a dream, or just learning to show up more fully as yourself, you're going to make people nervous. The so-called gatekeepers are going to look at you sideways when you finally decide to stop hiding. And that's a good thing. Because it means you're making an impact. It means you're shaking things up. It means you're memorable. People don't get nervous about mediocrity. Nobody feels threatened by ordinary. But when you dare to stand out, when you stop apologizing for being too much, that's when you know you're doing something right. Johnny even shared a little trick for moments like that. If you're not sure whether you're being bold enough, ask yourself, would my choice make the boss raise their eyebrows? If the answer is yes, you're probably on the right track. And here's another thing to keep in mind. Confidence doesn't mean you're never scared. It doesn't mean you always know how it's going to turn out. It just means you do it anyway. Johnny didn't always know people would love his choices. He just believed in them enough to try. And that, right there, is the secret. It sounds simple when you say it out loud, doesn't it? But living it? That's where most people get stuck. Because it's easy to believe in yourself when everyone around you is already clapping. It's easy when the critics love you, when the audience cheers, when the world seems to nod in approval and say, yes, that was exactly what we wanted. But Johnny? He wasn't playing for applause. He was playing for something bigger. He was playing for authenticity. And that's what makes his story so powerful. He didn't take the roles he took because he knew people would love them. In fact, more often than not, he took them despite knowing they might not. Despite knowing the studios would panic. Despite knowing the critics might tear him apart. Despite knowing the audience might not even get it at first. But he believed. He believed in his own instincts. In his vision. In his ability to connect with something deeper, even if it took everyone else a little longer to see what he already knew. That kind of belief. It's rare. And it's brave. Because the truth is, most of us spend our lives waiting. Waiting for someone else to give us permission. Waiting for someone to tell us it's okay to take the risk. Waiting for someone to guarantee that if we step out of line, if we dare to be different, we won't fall flat on our face. But no one can guarantee that. And Johnny knew it. He knew that if he kept waiting for everyone else to catch up, he'd end up betraying himself in the process. So he didn't wait. He stepped up anyway. He took those strange, offbeat, uncomfortable roles and made them unforgettable. And little by little, the world began to see what he saw all along. The genius wasn't in playing it safe. It was in playing it true. And you? You can do the same thing. You don't have to wait until you're sure everyone will love it. You don't have to wait until the timing feels perfect, or until you have all the answers, or until you feel like you're finally ready. Because here's the truth, you'll never feel 100% ready. And you'll never be able to predict how people are going to react. Some will love it. Some won't. Some will misunderstand you entirely. But that doesn't matter. What matters is that you showed up. That you stayed true to who you are. That you dared to put yourself out there, even when it scared you. Even when it made everyone else nervous. Even when the safe thing to do was to just blend in. Because blending in might feel comfortable, sure. But it won't fulfill you. It won't leave a mark. It won't make you unforgettable. And you, my friend, were not put on this earth just to take up space. You were put here to stand out. To make an impact. To be fully, completely, unapologetically you. And maybe you've been holding back. Maybe you've been telling yourself, not yet. Maybe later. Maybe when the timing's better. Maybe when I feel more confident. But here's the thing. Confidence doesn't come first. It comes later. It comes as a result of action, not before it. Johnny didn't take risks because he felt confident. He felt confident because he took risks. He proved to himself, over and over again, that he could trust his instincts. And you can too. It starts with one step. One choice. One moment where you say, I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know if everyone's going to love it. But I believe in it enough to try. And that's how magic happens. That's how history is made. Not by playing it safe. But by daring to believe in yourself just enough to take the chance. So whatever it is you've been holding back on, that book you want to write, that song you want to sing, that career change you've been dreaming about, that truth you've been afraid to say out loud, stop waiting. Stop asking for permission. Stop telling yourself you need to be sure first. Because you'll never be sure. And that's okay. You don't have to be sure. You just have to believe in it enough to try. So go ahead. Make the move. Take the leap. Speak the truth. Create the thing. Trust yourself. You might stumble. You might fall. You might even fail. But you'll learn. You'll grow. And you'll prove to yourself, bit by bit, that you're stronger, braver, and more capable than you ever gave yourself credit for. That's what Johnny did. And that's what you can do too. Because at the end of the day, the only real failure is never trying at all. So stop waiting. Start now. The world is waiting for you to show up as you really are. And I, for one, can't wait to see what you create. Go on. Believe in yourself enough to try. That's all it takes. Because at the end of the day, this is your life. Not theirs. And why would you want to live someone else's version of your story? So here's what I want you to think about tonight. What's one bold choice you've made recently? Something that scared the people around you. Something that even scared you. Or maybe there's one you've been thinking about making, but you've been hesitating. What's stopping you? Really think about it. Because the world doesn't need more people who just blend in. It needs more people who are willing to shine. Even if it makes others uncomfortable at first. Because being unforgettable takes courage. And if Johnny Depp has taught us anything, it's that you don't have to apologize for who you are. Ever. So go ahead. Take up space. Make them nervous. You'll be glad you did. And I'd love to hear about it. What's that one thing you've been afraid to do, but you know you need to? Drop it in the comments. Your story might just inspire someone else. And hey, if this little reminder hit home for you today, you're going to love our next video. It's all about another Hollywood legend who refused to let the industry define them. So don't miss it. And before you go, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a like. It really helps the channel more than you know. And if you're not already subscribed, join our little family here. We've got plenty more inspiring stories coming your way. And remember, if the people in charge aren't at least a little worried, you're probably not doing your job. So keep going. Because you were never meant to blend in. You were meant to stand out. And I, for one, can't wait to see how you do it. See you in the next one.